The Ford Endeavour has always looked the part. Bold, butch and big. Having a road presence that is still unparalleled in its class. And that's something the Endeavour fan club admires. Now it's got a facelift. Well, sort of. But the big change is under the hood. The Endeavour gets an all-new 2-litre diesel motor, which will be the only engine on offer now. Yes, the 3.2-litre and the 2.2-litre engines have been discontinued.
Now, that engine makes it future ready because it meets all the upcoming emission norms. And we are here in this location to find how capable this is compared to its predecessor in off-roading and as well as on the road.
So where did we head? Well, it was more or less deja vu, going back to the sand dunes in Jaisalmer, where we drove the 3.2-litre Endeavour last year. But before getting into that, let's actually check out what the updates are. For starters, it's the headlamps. While the layout of the cluster remains untouched, there are all LED units, as opposed to projector beams on the one before, and the DRLs now look more prominent. Then there's the new Endeavour badge on the fender, which suggests that this one gets only the 2-litre engine. Other than that, nothing has changed. So let's finally get to it. The 2-litre 4-cylinder diesel engine replaces the hefty 3.2-litre 5-cylinder motor and the comparatively frugal 2.2-litre mill. At 166 brake horsepower and 420 Nm of peak torque, it belts out 30 brake horsepower less and is 15 Nm low on torque compared to the 3.2-litre engine. However, it still develops 8 brake horsepower and 35 Nm more than the 2.2-litre unit. But the biggest update comes with the world's first 10-speed automatic gearbox. And the claim here is that it helps bring in the best of both motors, at par with performance of the 3.2-litre unit and more frugal than the 2.2-litre motor. It helps deliver fuel efficiency figures of 13.90 km per litre in the two-wheel drive version and 12.4 km per litre in the four-wheel drive iteration. The gearbox works like a charm. The shifts are precise, ratios are on point, and it holds on to the revs till 4000 RPM. What it does is skip gears to keep you in the correct rev band. So let's say you're cruising in 8th gear and want to make a quick overtake. It can shift down directly to 6th or 4th depending on your throttle input, delivering all the punch you need precisely when you want it. That said, the motor does feel just a bit anxious towards the top end, where it gets more vocal and there is more noise than progression. It also comes with the select shift functionality, basically where you can lock a particular gear beyond which it won't upshift, no matter how hard you rev. And that's a boon in the dunes, where you just can't afford to lose momentum. Then there's the terrain management system, which unleashes the Endeavour's dexterity. And you do feel the aggression building up as you switch modes from normal to gravel or mud and finally to sand. We were instructed to lock 3rd gear on the shifter, and the gearbox didn't go beyond that, making the Endeavour hop over the steepest of inclines without even engaging the differential lock. And boy, that makes you feel like a hero without actually doing much of a job. The Endeavour has always been an off-roader at its core. With high approach and departure angles, along with a 225mm of ground clearance, you rarely worry about scraping its nose or belly. The independent suspension up front and linkage types at the rear, coupled with anti-roll bars. So yes, it can take on all the rough quite handsomely. But not all owners are going to encounter those treacherous terrains, right? That brings us to how good of a daily driver and highway cruiser it still is.
Even the previous Endeavour impressed us with its body manners, and this one continues to do so. Obviously, you just can't defy the rule of physics, and a bit of body roll are apparent when you are actually taking those bends. But yeah, for an SUV of this size, it's pretty much impressive. Then, even the steering, it's not as quick, but you feel connected and you always know what your wheels are up to. The thing we particularly liked always about the Endeavour was the suspension setup. First thing, you can't hear it, and then it makes the ride feel so comfy. When on the undulations, you just can go on carrying a decent amount of speed, and that's something you like to do.
That said, it still is a big SUV, tipping the scales at over 2.4 tons, and body rolls are inevitable when you are fast around sharp bends. The cabin more or less remains unchanged, but gets quite a few segment first features. So there are powered front seats, power foldable third row seats, foot gesture operation for the power tailgate, semi-auto parallel park assist, dual zone climate control and panoramic sunroof and more. There is an 8-inch touchscreen with Microsoft Sync, which is now configured with the Ford Pass connected car tech that receives over-the-air updates. So you can remotely lock, unlock and start, stop or even pre-cool the cabin. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. On the safety front, there are 7 airbags including a driver knee airbag and seat belt with pretensioners. The price then. The base two-wheel drive variants costs 29,55,000 rupees and it tops out at 33,24,000 rupees, and these are introductory prices. It is in fact over a lakh cheaper than its predecessor, and even that 70,000 rupees imminent price hike won't make it as expensive as the outgoing model. It still is the most affordable four-wheel drive SUV in its segment, undercutting both the Mahindra Alturas G4 by 1,15,000 rupees and the Toyota Fortuner by a good 4,40,000 rupees. So it's affordable, capable, and with Ford's warranty schemes easy on the pocket to maintain. The Endeavour feels livelier with this new 2-litre engine, and the new gearbox is a touch of brilliance. So yes, the Endeavour still remains all the SUV you need.